So there's been a lot of media coverage of polyamory lately, to the point where it's starting to creep into more mainstream channels, one of which was The View. This video apparently pissed a lot of people off, and I have no context going in, so I'm just gonna watch and react and commentate, and yeah, like, we'll see what happens. The only person I recognize from this panel of women is Whoopi Goldberg. I loved her in Ghost. Other than that, I don't know any of these people. I'm hoping that Whoopi doesn't disappoint me. Let's go.
So the cover story on this week's New York Magazine gives readers a guide to polyamory, or being in an open relationship.
Okay, the fact that there's already some giggling in the background doesn't really bode well, but let's talk about this cover for a second, because, you know, us content creators in the group chat were just loving this cover. You know, like, so much better than various people under white bed sheets, you know, just a bunch of feet, implying that it's like a sexual thing. You know, this is like a bunch of cats in a cuddle puddle. You know, I find that super wholesome. The one thing that I would critique is the headline, which says "A Practical Guide for the Curious Couple." Very couple centric. We don't love that. And yeah, I haven't actually read the article, by the way, but yeah, we've made it, guys. We've made it onto the hot topics on The View.
Engaging in so-called ethical non-monogamy. And then I'm supposed to ask you all, would you be open to this?
Okay, so this is already not going well. All the hosts are like, ugh, we don't even want to talk about this. We feel forced into this. I'm supposed to ask you guys this. Ugh, you know, it's a very like, here we go kind of vibe. Whoopi's expressions and kind of the way that she's kind of mocking the audience almost is problematic, and the way that she's just kind of encouraging laughter from the audience as well is also not great. Yeah, I'm not loving the faces that she's pulling. I feel like I'm gonna get pissed off. I'm ready.
No. How many are we talking about?
Not y'all.
Then
I know y'all are going for it. No, you know when you come out, you can find the polyamorous people.
Okay. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, yeah, polyamorous people. You know, you can tell when you look at them, you know, this is not a polyamorous audience. You're not like those weird slutty freaks. Kind of implying that, yeah, you can kind of tell just by looking at people. Okay.
They're talking about not just one person extra in the bed. We're talking about a few.
Yeah, polyamorous.
In the bed. Okay, yeah. Immediately sexualizing this. Cool.
So how are they supposed to go to bed then? How many orgasms can one girl fake?
Well, I
Well, that's indicative of her sex life. Fucking hell. How many orgasms can one girl fake? Yeah, I feel like I haven't heard that one before, so I'm gonna give her credit on that. That is a criticism of non-monogamy that I have not heard before. Yeah, why are you presuming that people are faking orgasms? You know, that's a bit about your sex life that I didn't want to know about. It kind of implies as well that the women who are involved in non-monogamy are just doing this for the men, you know, doing it for their pleasure, which is, you know, a very misogynistic and patriarchal viewpoint. The women and femmes watching this will probably have encountered people going like, your partner pushed you into this, or you're being manipulated by your partner, when, you know, in every likelihood, you were the person who suggested non-monogamy to your male partner, and, you know, you're having a blast. What a weird statement, you know, to kind of sexualize non-monogamy from the jump, and also to imply that the women are faking it. Wow, okay.
I know that this, when you read that ethical non-monogamy, weren't you sitting there going, a man definitely decided this?
100%.
I'm not going to be monogamous, but it's a good thing.
It's ethical,
and we're
it's good for all of
fine.
us.
It's ethical, yeah.
I mean, she makes a good point and a bad point simultaneously. I also don't love the fact that we say ethical non-monogamy. I've made numerous posts on the matter. I don't think we say ethical monogamy, so we shouldn't say ethical non-monogamy either. It should surely be assumed that it's ethical. But also, you know, her going like, yeah, like, a man definitely decided... Fuck off. You know, I referred to my point earlier. They're very much assuming that, oh, it's about sex and therefore this is a very male thing.
I don't
No,
get
I
it.
can barely handle one. I can't handle
Yeah, like
This is another thing that monogamous people say. I can barely handle one. Like, ugh, like one partner's already annoying enough. Like, why would I want to take on more? And it's like, I mean, I'm very happy in my relationships. I would love more of the same. I don't know about you.
I'm more cave woman in my relationships. Like, you are mine. Like, that's more me.
Why is she saying this like, you know, it's something to be proud of, right? Like, oh, I'm so primitive. What? Bit weird.
What I don't understand is, like, some of these people are married, have children, and have jobs.
Busy.
How do you have the time to do that with, let alone one man, several men or women? Like, they are not only more evolved than I am, they have more energy.
Yes, it's a good question. How do we find the time? You know, time management and scheduling is something that I talk a lot about on my platform. We're halfway through the video now, and the tone of this so far is just of derision. You know, they're like, why are we talking about this, guys? Oh my god, so weird. You can see very clearly, like, the woman who was like, oh, how many orgasms can a woman fake? Like, she looked so pleased with herself after that. Like, there was a shot of her just kind of like looking so super smug, and I'm like, cool.
Personally, to me, like, why not just be single? And maybe that's a lack of my understanding, but if you're saying, I care about this person, but I also want to sleep with a lot of other people, why wouldn't you
Well,
just
because there's
date
more to
around?
marriage than sex.
Why don't you just be single is like a very common misconception. So like, I'm not even batting an eye at that one. Honestly, I've heard it so much at this point. This woman in red are saying like, well, there's more to marriage than sex. Like, yes, you know, she is correct. It shouldn't be a contradiction, right? Like, wanting to be with a person and also wanting to be with other people. Like, it doesn't take away from it. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know that.
Where's the sex
But I
these
would-
days? You know what I mean? It's mostly about cleaning the house, visiting in-laws.
Yeah.
What is it with monogamous people and shitting on their own relationships, right? They're like, oh, marriage is boring. There's more to it. Like, you know, you have to, like, do all this boring shit. Like, and it's like, don't you enjoy the relationships that you only get one? You better be happy in it. Like, you would think that if you are bound to be in one relationship, you'd make sure that it's one that you feel really, like, happy and rewarded and fulfilled by. But no, all I see is people just complaining about the monotony and their dynamics, and that is really wild to me.
There is no way one of the two partners in a polyamorous relationship isn't actually jealous that the other one's sleeping with someone else. They're pretending, they know they have to do it to keep the relationship alive.
That could be.
I just don't
Maybe
think
they're just
humans
more
are wired that
evolved
way.
than we.
Okay, so this is such weird logic. She's like, I can't imagine, you know, people aren't wired that way. There's got to be one person who's not okay with it. So you're assuming that the other person, you know, is on board and okay with it. And so why is it so hard to stretch that logic and be like, well, what if two people who are okay with it found each other and developed a relationship? You know, there was a tweet last year that made the rounds, and it said something along the lines of, oh, you're in an open relationship. Which of you suggested it, and which of you tries to sleep every night? And, you know, it got like hundreds of thousands of retweets. And, you know, this is the thing, right? It's always assumed that there's one person who's really fucking over the other one, that there's a manipulator, that there's someone who isn't serious about the commitment that they're making, and the other person who's like so true and so monogamous. And they're being the victim in this, and it's very much projection. Like, she's projecting herself, you know, into this dynamic. She's thinking like, well, I would definitely never be okay with this, and therefore everyone's experience has to reflect mine, and therefore, you know, if I were in this relationship, I would feel like a victim being taken advantage of, and so, you know, everyone else has to feel this way. It's a complete lack of empathy and understanding for other people's experiences.
My mom hat and my wife hat sometimes struggle under the same roof because there's nothing sexual for me about being a mom. And I need to be sexual to be a wife. And sometimes, like, changing hats while you hear everything, it's really hard for me. So parts of
she's making all the right points, but then drawing the wrong conclusions. Because, you know, what she says about, like, the mum hat, wife hat thing, like, is a struggle that a lot of people have. You know, and, like, part of what makes non-monogamy so freeing is that, like, it helps to kind of reawaken your sexuality, like, when you've been, like, stuck in a specific role for so long. She's made 2 points now that I'm like, I actually agree with that. And then she says something else that I'm like, you went in a completely different direction.
me wish at times I didn't have to know, but maybe someone could help me take care of that.
You know, statistically.
Phone a friend.
Can you?
I mean, you know, she's also making another point here. Like, hey, it takes a village. I'm exhausted. I wish someone else could look after my kids for a sec. Like, again, you're so close. You're so goddamn close.
The amazing thing is 1 out of 9 Americans has been in a polyamorous. Were they all in Iowa yesterday?
Yeah.
Right?
That's
They're
pretty
the hard
funny.
other way.
Sleepy little town.
No sleepy little town.
Because they're sleepy. They need to sleepy with other people.
You guys have to widen your arena of people that you know. Listen, if you can do more than one thing at a time, you can have a polyamorous relationship. Okay?
She's
you
not
can
wrong.
chew gum and walk. You can do more than
Also, it's
one person.
multitasking.
The whole
Yes,
thing
it
is
is.
skeevy to me. It's skeev.
Well, yes, maybe.
Not to everyone.
well,
not
not
to
to me. I'm
everyone.
only speaking
No,
from
she's
moi.
speaking
You
for
seem
her.
like you're speaking from experience.
Yeah, still.
You know what? If I seem like that, it's because I'm good like that.
Yeah, that was something. I mean, you know, I feel like I shouldn't have expected anything more, anything less from The View. It's a shame that that was the tone that they went for with that segment. I wish they'd invited a polyamorous person on to talk about it. You know, like, they might have faced a lot of judgment, but at least they could clarify some misconceptions. You know, they clearly came in with a lot of, like, judgments about it, only brought up the stats once, and then they were just like, oh my god, how shocking, and no one's gonna learn anything particularly material from this, and I find that, a shame. Yeah, I'm not angry, watching that, I'm just more, like, disappointed. Very indicative of the state of their relationships as well, the way they talked about it. And yeah, they got so close to the point and then missed. Let me know what you thought of that segment. Let me know if you'd like me to do more of these reactions. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you.